Thank you. My name is Anna Harris. I'm an instructor. I'm an associate professor at University of Arkansas in Pine Bluff. And I would like to talk about what I have done in my calculus class. So title of my research is Calculus Evidence-Based Instruction, Engage Students and Enhance Students' Learning. The goal of my study is to increase calculus passing rate, retention rate, and graduation rate of STEM minority students. Outline of this presentation. So I will talk about the communications and remediations that I use in my calculus class. What kind of technology I use in my calculus class? What is peer leaders and how I chose peer leaders? And what is peer leader study sessions? And what has happened in peer leader study sessions? I will talk about Julia coding, how I use Julia in my calculus class. And I will also share exams and assignments, how I use. So communications, GroupMe. So GroupMe is a free, so this is a link that you can check into. And I use GroupMe for the announcement. And also, I like GroupMe because I get to post my Zoom recording sessions or any links that I want to share. It's easy to post. And it's also I can do polling in GroupMe to see, what time do you want to do the extra study sessions, or any kind of polling that I need to do. I can just do in GroupMe. And also students like this because they get to connect to each other to study together, and they can also ask me questions directly. And I can also ask the students directly about what is going on in their life or their academically, the concerns that I have, I can share, or I can, praise them for their good work. And this is also available in Android, Apple, and app. So GroupMe is definitely my main communication. So GroupMe looks like this when you look at through your computer. So this is what it looks like in web page, and this is what it looks like in Apple app. I also use email and Blackboard for communications. Email I usually use for formal letters that I need to write to my students. I use email because students who's not coming to class and who's not doing their work, I usually send them an email to remind them they need to come and do their work. And I also use Blackboard because I use Blackboard for all the posts that I need to do, like announcements also, and assignments, and exams, and syllabus, and office hours, and all the resources I post in Blackboard. So this is what it looks like in my Blackboard. I create the extra ribbons here, announce, these ribbons that I create, fit into my need for my calculus class. So remediations, I did have to do algebra and trig remediations. Due to the lack of algebra and trigonometry preparation, we have to do algebra remediations. My students cannot do calculus work because they cannot do their basics of algebra. So I use a CUDA software worksheets, which is free. So I do that in class. And also I refer my students to look at the Khan Academy to watch their videos. And also we use peer leader study session to go over any kind of remediation. So example worksheets. So I put all these worksheets in my Blackboard, and the student needs to do this work, and they have to turn it in to me, and they have to show their work like this. And technology, I use Zoom. So I use Zoom a lot. Even though I meet in person, I do Zoom because I like to record my lessons and easy to post by doing a Zoom. So I use a Zoom, and I also make a Zoom to be a recurring class. So I can open up anytime I want to, and also students can open up to Zoom to do the study sessions. So as you can see, I have a calculus 1 and 2 and Julia lesson. In office hours I do, and I do peer leader study sessions. So like peer leader study sessions, I make it to be anybody can join, and anybody can start the session. So my study peer leader can start this and do the study sessions through your peer leader study session Zoom. And I also use iPad and Apple Pencil. I really like having an iPad and Apple Pencil because I can just write on my PowerPoints, and students can see what I'm writing so they can follow me. And also when students share their screen through the Zoom, I get to correct their work if they make a mistake. Because even though they're sharing their Zoom screen, I can still correct if I use iPad, because iPad has the ability to just write on their screen. So peer leaders, how do I choose peer leaders? The peer leaders I choose personally. So I choose the students who took my classes previous years, and I choose the ones who did really well in my class, and also who is very responsible and also uh, easy to communicate, and who is also willing to work with their peers and care about peers, who wants to make better for themselves, also better for other people. So they have a I look at their qualities, I look at their content knowledge, but I also look at their personal characters and see whether they are a good fit to work with other people. And I also choose from current class too. So I like to choosing students from current class too, because the students who does their work and always ask questions and utilize my office hours to do their work in advance. So they are just fine to be a peer leader for in my same class. But I also make sure they are responsible. I'm always looking for students who's responsible, because peer leader is like a coach. So you need to reach out to them and say, hey, we have a study session, so and so and so. And they also need to give me their feedback about their study sessions, what is going on. So I'm always looking for a responsible person and who communicates well. And I make the peer leader study session schedule. So I have to look at our students who's going to be peer leader and then students who's in my class. And then I look at those to make a peer leader study sessions. And I also give my peer leaders the study session materials in advance, so they can look into it, so they know what is covering my class now, so they can look into it. Even though they took the class, they may not remember exactly what am I doing now. So they look at my study materials to know, what is happening in my class now and how they can accommodate my students. And I also do the weekly meeting with my peer leaders, so I can hear their concerns. And if there's any kind of problems, I need to know now, so I can address that with my students. And I also use Google Phone to do my students' peer-to-peer study session attendance, and also do the timesheets for my peer-to-peer leaders. So this is what I use. I create this Calculus 1 Spring 2002 peer-to-peer study session attendance record. And I write down peer-to-peer leaders' name, and I write down their times they're going to do, and also I write down the students who are in my class, so they can just check their name. And also there's a time they will do other than the assigned times, because they need to be, because there's exam, or for whatever the reason they need to do extra peer-to-peer study sessions, they can write it down their times. And also peer leader study sessions. So I'll talk about the peer leader study sessions. I have to create the study sessions. So I use GroupMe to tell my students, tell me, where their class hours, where their require work they have to do. They write those down and post it in a GroupMe so everybody can see their schedule. So they all know what schedule looks like, and using that, and I create their study sessions like this. So this year, everybody was good with the 3 to 4 for my Calculus 1 students study sessions, and 1 to 2, 2 to 3 was really good for my Calculus 2 study sessions. So this is what I have. And I also give them extra hours for other hours they need. So this is what we have for the study sessions. And then also during the study sessions, they will go over like homework problems, and they also go over like Julia codings. And they use Zoom, and they do in person. So they usually go to the library. We have a room in library that used for peer leader study sessions. So students go there to library and do their peer leader study sessions. And also we do peer leader study session in dormitory too. If the students want to do study together in a dormitory, and their dormitory has a study places they can go to, and they can study together. And so also I'm using a Julia coding as my part of my instruction in my class. Previous years, I asked my student to download Julia to their computer, but some of the students doesn't have a computer, or they have only Chromebooks, so they can't really download, and have a different issues that I had with installation, so which would take away my instructional time. So this year I decided not to do individual downloading, but just use a cloud service from Cocal. The reason that I use this one because it's inexpensive, and also I can have a class in Cocal. Like this, if you want to have a class, and this is how much it will cost you, but you can individualize it. Like this one is one teacher with 120 students. But like in my case, is I had one teacher like me and one teacher like 40 students. And with the 4 months, it will cost me like $700. So they will work with you on your price. So Julia coding in Cocal. So I start with how to create a notebook in Julia Cocal. So they're gonna create their own notebook, and they will follow me with my instructions, and then they will make their work. So whenever we use Julia, we always write down comments so we remember why we are doing this, and also students will know, what the process is happening. So we're not just coding, but we write a comments each time, and we use this for finding limits and limits graphically and numerically, and we also use that like a calculator. And also students learn the basic concept, basic coding concept. They know what library is, what syntax looks like, and what built-in function is, like a map and things like that. And the benefit of having Julia coding is a student learn to think about why it works and familiarize themselves with debugging. So it will help them to be more logical. So Julia coding is the example that I showed. This is a limit, numerically we found. And like this is it's graphically found and numerically found. And this is a debugging one that we did together. And this is another one that we use in chapter 4 for the Riemann sum. We create a function. We create a function. So this is not a built-in Julia function, but we create a function. And then we create using this to figure out, what is left-hand sum and what is a right-hand sum and things. In exams and assignments, paper assignments are used. Usually paper assignments coming from homework problems. Okay, and I modify slightly. I don't modify a whole lot. Modify slightly, and the students, but I'll grade their papers so I can see their how much they know. So I get to measure their content knowledge. And also we do a Julia coding exam and assignments. They have to find the limits numerically, graphically, and then they plot the first and second derivative of functions, and then talk about their relationship. They use for summing infinite series and finding solutions using Newton's method. Like this is example of this. And then also video exams. I use a video exam for I create 4 to 5 people as one group, and then choose a group leader, and then I assign 4 to 5 problems. So each group member will have one problem they have to tackle. And each group will choose their own names and why. And each student present their work. And the group leaders will edit the video and turn them in for grade. And the group sets the same grade. The group gets the same grade. So this is example. So I have 3 groups that I made. So the first group, they call their name to be the math demons because they make a part of each problem to small pieces, like a parting, so they call it math demons. And second one called mathletes. And the next one, they call it math cube. And I thank you so much. And I'd like to acknowledge NSF HBCU of Targeted Infusion Project Grant, or number 2010292. Thank you.